You're ready?
All right. We will call to order the March 6th, 2025 meeting of the Historic District Commission for the City of Saugatuck. First item is roll call. Would you help us with that, Jamie?
Yes, Canarsa.
Here.
Donahue.
Here.
Gardner.
Here.
Lampton.
Here.
Root.
Here.
Patterson.
Here.
Stryker.
Here,
You have a quorum?
we have a quorum. And we will appropriately introduce Leah,
Leah.
sorry, when we get to the commission comments. So we'll go around the table at that point. Are there any agenda changes or deletions, additions or deletions?
Yeah, obviously it's not something that I can do, but I will let you guys know that 611 Lake have removed their application due to zoning concerns. They just wouldn't meet zoning after meeting historic. So
Great. Thanks, Lou.
Makes sense.
Would you like a motion to remove that from the agenda in a second? Please?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to remove item 7C from tonight's agenda. I second.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yeah.
Yes, opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes from the regular meeting held on February 6th, 2025? And if so, do I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Okay. Are there any public comments on the agenda items for tonight? Okay. Any unfinished business? Then we'll move right into new business. We have 3 items based on the agenda change. The first item is 31 Butler Street, the re-siding of a commercial building. Who's here from, come on up. So if you want to just introduce yourself into the microphone.
How you doing? I am Wes Dickerson with Pioneer Construction.
Thank you.
Oh,
Welcome. I'm going to go through this a little differently tonight since we have a new commissioner. So, and explain things a little bit more in detail than we might normally. So if there's anything that wasn't included in your application that you'd like to make sure we know about, this is your time to do that. But what we're going to do is we've all read the application, are aware of the property. And I'll ask everyone to go around the table and share their comments, maybe ask a question or two. And then we'll move for a vote after that conversation.
Okay.
Does that work? Anything else you want to add to the application that's not already there?
Nope. I
Okay,
brought a physical sample
Cool.
of the proposed siding.
okay,
Go on.
great. Why don't we start on this end? John, do you have any clarifying questions?
no, I don't have any questions.
Okay, Keith,
Oh, no questions. No questions. Very clear.
Russ,
No questions.
None from me either.
Leah? That went fast. It
I
got to
know,
you really
right?
fast.
Welcome.
Yeah, no questions.
Okay, and then I'll just, it's in your application, but I always state it. Everything looks good from your tear sheet standpoint. We never approve anything that's stamped cement board. So
Mhm.
you have a smooth finish in there, so no fake wood stamped. Otherwise, I think you're
Yep.
you're good to go from my standpoint. If no one has questions, would someone like to entertain?
Oh, just more of a historical question, no pun intended. Has that building ever been recited? Do you know?
Do not know the question.
I'm just curious. That looks like it's original to me. It's been there for a while, so just kind of curious.
Well, yeah, there's some historical pictures from when it was originally constructed. Sorry, in the clubhouse, but it appears to be the exact same, so I don't believe it's ever been reset.
Thank you. Just curious.
Motion?
Yep. I move to approve the new siding proposed for the office building located at 31 Butler Street
Do you have a
in
second? Oh, sorry.
accordance with the plans and details submitted within the application materials.
Thank you. Go ahead. Second, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much. Good luck with the project.
Thanks, John. Be on the water soon.
Second item is 234 Butler Street, re-roofing of a commercial building. Hello. You heard me on the other one, so same thing.
I'm Steve Walters from SW Builders, representing Glick's storefront, so.
Thank you. Is there anything else you want to add to the application that's not already there?
No,
Looks like it's a pretty straightforward roof replacement with an architectural shingle that's asphalt, correct?
correct.
Okay.
It'll match pretty much everybody else that has theirs downtown.
I'll just open it up to the floor. Anyone have questions, clarifying questions, comments?
No questions here.
Nope.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I will. I move to approve the roofing project using brown architectural shingles for the building located at 234 Butler in accordance with the plans and details submitted within the application. There are no conditions.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Okay.
Thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
appreciate the complete application. Third and last item on new business is the bike racks, installation of racks in a couple different locations throughout town. Is there anything?
Lisa Rice.
Oh, Lisa.
Yeah, so Lisa
Sorry.
is on. I will say that obviously, location wise, this was a joint decision between Lisa and Ryan, and also our Department of Public Works Superintendent Scott had all input on the locations that were chosen. So
Terrific. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for joining. She's muted. That's okay. Just wanted to.
I think she might have just left. Oh, no.
No, I think
She raised her hand. so I
No,
think she-
that was waving.
There she is.
Hello.
Hi, so. Anything else you want to comment on the application?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Okay. I'll just open this one.
I
Instead of
just have
Ron.
one question.
Yeah.
Big fan of bike racks, so that's not, but the corner of, it would be Butler and is that Mason? Yeah. That's a busy pedestrian area with a lot. Where exactly is the bike rack gonna sit?
Are you asking me?
Either you or Luke.
So if you look to page 44, the general location has been chosen. And again, I think that's part of the reason why Lisa and Ryan had Scott out there with them.
Okay.
To sort of, from a public works point of view, where is this going to best sit? And so, yeah.
Scott had proposed that particular spot, that it be a one-sided bike rack because there wasn't enough room to have a bike rack where you would have bikes on both sides.
It makes sense. Thank you.
We go
Anybody
around.
else? Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we do one at a time? Could we go back to the one that's next to the pizza joint?
Scooters.
Yeah, so that's public property, correct?
Correct. Yep.
And the 23 by 12 or 17, that is going to be, what's the ground going to look like? Is that a pad or is that,
I believe that that's a pad. Yeah.
how do we find out?
Scott was gonna pour extra cement. There's some there, I think.
No, it's a mess.
Yeah. Right.
Oh.
now, it's more
Well,
like.
then maybe that was one of the spots he was gonna pour cement.
Yeah, we need to be clearer on what that's gonna look like beyond the bike rack. If it's just take the bike rack and drop it off and put it in the pile, that is one of our, like it or not, one of our main entries to town, right?
Mhm.
So my comment is from a streetscape perspective for the historic district, it has to have some kind of purpose rather than just dropping off a bike rack and cleaning out a few scrub trees that have grown up along the brickwork.
Yeah, I
Which
can
is what it looks
confirm.
like right now.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be a concrete pad.
It will be, or
Yeah.
it might be.
No, it is. And so, okay.
So on page 41, in the deck, it shows that spot a little more clearly. There's a
Yeah.
ashtray on a little piece of concrete.
Yep.
Is that what that is?
And a bunch of stuff grown up there. So is that staying and everything behind it gets demoed, or is that all the way out to the sidewalk there? I didn't quite understand what part of the property you're taking up.
Yeah, the footprint shows it all the way to the building.
Right, but then 4F to from the road, what happens? Does it go to the sidewalk?
My understanding is that, yeah, that there's
Okay.
a concrete pad that will be poured in the dimensions that were listed. And everything else will be removed.
But why get rid of the green space there, the planting area? It looks like it goes right up to the building.
Yeah.
Just kind of as a stark setting, I think. Is that what you're saying? Are concerned about?
I'm just wondering,
I'm wondering too.
because all it said was put a pad here and a bike rack, but it didn't say what the pad was actually gonna look like and whether or not if that's coming out, that's a good question too. I really wasn't thinking about
If the
that.
pad was going from that arborvitae to the parking lot edge,
Walk.
that would make sense to the walk. Yeah. And in this, hopefully the ashtray is getting removed.
Yeah. Russ, did you have anything?
Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
just,
Oh, there it is. Now we're looking at it.
Yeah, it's all the way
Okay.
to the building.
yeah, so
Right.
so the red area is public right of way, correct?
Yeah.
And I appreciate the question that was asked about the smokers pole, because that would certainly be, if you want to talk about streetscape, that's a negative in my opinion. Nothing against smokers, but I think a bike rack certainly would be an improvement. But the question would be, is the bike rack going to be positioned in such a way that it's going to face that small walk? So people will walk up and grab their bikes from the, be facing, the rack will be facing north-south as opposed to east-west.
Yeah, I don't know that those decisions have been made. I think for the most part, the intention was to leave that decision with the Department of Public Works for,
Yeah, I mean, I
to
would,
make the best judgment call there.
I kind of feel like our purview is the rack is inappropriate in the materiality.
Yeah.
So making sure that it's concrete versus asphalt versus whatever. But I'd be comfortable letting the final placement be Scott, since that's his best at and role, and ours just evaluating the rack itself.
Yeah, for sure. I will note it does state concrete pads will be poured for the bike racks at the Culver Lot and East Chain Ferry, whereas the Mason Butler bike rack will use the existing concrete. So the intention is to pour a pad.
And I appreciate what you're saying about, I mean, it's kind of a casserole right there
Yeah,
right now.
that's-
So anything's, I think a pad generally is going to be
Agreed.
better than what's there, especially with the smoker's ball. But
And
yeah,
I guess the other one is the orientation of the bike rack so that there's access from both sides. But that's kind of out of our purview, but it wouldn't make sense to back it up against a brick wall so you can't get bikes on both sides,
Sure.
right?
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah, so the bike racks themselves, which I'm fully supportive of as being a very avid cyclist, and I can have some conversations with city staff about kind of what my thoughts are in terms of how they would be utilized by cyclists. But the actual racks themselves, I know we've got a couple different representations. We've got the standard, put your front tire in, you lock your bike to the rack. Then you've got the other ones, you've got the like the S
wavy.
Wave, yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
Has a decision been made, two things. One, is it going to be stainless or black on either? Two is which of the two are we going to be using? My understanding was we had a 6 bike and a 12 bike, maybe. I don't remember the exact discussion at council, but is it going to be a mix of different styles, or is it going to just be one style and one color? Just more curious about.
Sounded like there were gonna be two types.
Yeah, there's two options. And obviously
It was proposed for Mason Butler.
sorry, what was that, Megan?
Well, it states on here, the grid bike racks are proposed for the Culver Lot in Wicks Park. A wave bike rack is proposed for Mason Butler.
Smaller.
Yeah.
Okay. And then could we go to the one by the chain ferry? And like, there's a plan view of that, showing location too, right?
Should be on page
Yeah,
40.
42. Oh, sorry, you said plan view. There we go.
So 14 by 11. And, okay, so this one's 14 by 11, the other one's something by 17, was it?
The other one is definitely bigger. Yeah, the other one is 23 by 17.
Okay.
So that red,
That's illustrating the size of the pad. Yeah. Yeah.
okay, so back, the other pad at Culver is gonna be that big?
That's my understanding.
My guess is they're probably gonna do two back to back in that 23 by 17 space, maybe?
No.
Because the 11 by 14 is almost half. So my guess is they might put two, so you can come in from both ways.
Yeah.
But maybe you want clarification on that, I don't know.
No, I just wanted to see it.
That's a great question. I appreciate it being asked because it's got me thinking now about 23 by 17 foot pad.
Okay.
Pretty good size pad.
Yeah, these are definitely clarifying questions that I can, we could have that as part of a, I could send that back to you guys. We just,
So let me just, and you guys can push back on this, but let me just ground us in the idea that we should be looking at the materiality of these racks. Are they a natural material? Does it impact the streetscape? What's the rack's impact on the structure around it in each of these locations? I think all of our points are valid, but I don't know that it's in our purview. Other than to say that's too much hardscape in the Scooters location on Culver, but I'd be almost even hard pressed to say that, given the fact that it's by a parking lot. So I just want to, yeah, Jamie.
Please, Mr. Hand.
Oh, sorry, Lisa, I didn't see you. I saw you, but I didn't see the hand raised.
Yeah, the only thing I was trying to get a vision for was what it will be like with all the bikes there. And that's fine, but whether it makes sense from access standpoint, and other than that, I don't have any other issues.
Lisa, sorry.
When you were asking the question about the finish, I envision these being the black powder coated bike racks, both the wave and the standard. And
Okay.
then for the bike rack, right there on Culver, on the larger pad, I envisioned the bike rack where you could park bikes on either side of it. So potentially you could get 10 bikes, not just 5 with a one-sided.
Okay.
So that's potentially why Scott chose a larger concrete pad.
Well, I guess. Leah, any
Oh, no, I
questions?
was just playing with the hair.
Megan, Russ, any more?
No, I just, yeah, thank you for kind of recentering us on this too. So this discussion has me thinking and putting on my city council hat. There's some other things that need to be, I think, discussed in terms of, anyway. Appreciative of the fact that the racks are going in. I think we need to be thoughtful about how they're going to be used in the streetscape, et cetera. So.
Just one random question, Lisa. Are there any more coming, like further down by the playground or down
There's-
together into town?
Yes, there's supposed to be an artsy bike rack still coming. And unfortunately, I've run into problems getting someone to commission those. I wanted Cynthia McKean, and Cynthia lost her fabricator. And now I'm in conversation with the industrial arts teacher, Vince Heiser at the high school. Potentially it could be a project for his class. But right now I have nobody for the artsy bike rack.
Okay, thank you. It was a curiosity question more than anything.
Yep.
Anybody else have other questions?
I had one more.
Yeah.
And is there going to be any signage that says it's public?
Hmm.
Because one thing, you don't know if that's public or private there.
Yeah, I never knew that. I never knew that was a
And-
public right away.
Me neither. But I just didn't know if that was going to have Or is everybody just gonna figure it out? Maybe.
I don't think there's any signage contemplated at this point. If there is in the future, it'll be brought before you guys.
Just asking.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I got it. Where is it?
Page 37.
37. Oops, getting there. Maybe I got it up.
My paper here.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. I move to approve the proposed bike rack locations, plans and details submitted with the application materials. And I don't think we flagged any filing conditions, correct? Yep.
Have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Well, I would just add to the motion that I think the applicant can choose the finish they want, but they've said they're going to choose the dark bronze. All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed? Thanks so much. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
That's it for new business. Do we, anything on?
Did the sign application or is that not?
So that was administratively approved.
Got it.
That's part of the,
Okay.
yeah.
Claim that. The new ones.
Yeah, so that's it for new business. For administrative approvals, you did the amendment of that sign. Is there anything you want to talk about with that, or did you just put it in there for?
I just put that in there. I assume that's how you want administrative approvals to go in the future. I add them in there. And then, of course, I added the vision and mission and goals, the 2025.
To your question though, Megan, I think what we used to do, and I think we're kind of, what you're doing now gets back to that. Usually all the administrative approvals are on the agenda, just so that we can see them. Sometimes it may have been since you joined, or I don't remember what point, maybe just before Luke. Brian might just rattle them off, but I think we started putting them on the agenda so that we could make sure we were just all on the same page. So.
Yeah, for all of us, explain administrative approval.
Thank you. So administrative approvals are things that come in that usually don't require a full commission conversation or vote. They're usually things that are easily approved within like signage ordinances against the, zoning guidelines, things like that. If there's ever a question, Luke usually gives me a call and says, does this feel like an administrative approval or does this feel like full commission? If I have any question, I always err on bringing it here. If it ever involves a window, a door, siding, garage door, anything like that, it always comes here. If it's something that is a emergency approval, like somebody had a hole in their roof and they needed to replace their roof it's an administrative approval. So
A good example of one by our bylaws is a fence in a rear yard on a lot that isn't a corner lot. So if they're behind if it's hidden to a certain degree, that says that we can administratively approve that. That's the style of thing that would be able to be approved without board review. But I would still put it in the agenda for you guys to see what I'm doing, basically.
yeah, I mean, a good example though is if that was a PVC fence in a historic district, you wouldn't.
No,
if they
no, no,
were
no. It still has
asking
to
for
meet the
that.
standards.
It's a
Yeah.
like as, yeah.
Yeah. So the application is still made. They still make a historic district application and they still are required to get I think it's appropriateness or a certificate of appropriateness, I think is how we say it, but basically the okay. And so, yeah, it still would meet our standards, but it wouldn't require the board's review. So.
And what about a slight change to an application that was already presented and accepted, like the mermaid garage doors? Did they come back to you?
They did.
Yeah.
Was that administratively approved?
You're getting into sort of territory where it's approved with conditions. So we say it's conditioned upon you presenting us with this information, the finish and things like that. And so then I bring that.
Submitting it to you?
Yeah, they submit it to me and then I save it in our records and I send it to Tim as well to just say, hey, by the way, I got this.
Okay.
We have this.
Because they asked me about it and I said that's what they needed to do. So they did do it. Okay.
So that's actually a really good example just for everyone. So at our last meeting, the new mermaid garage doors were shown in plan a certain way, which is what we approved, but the tear sheet was a different way. They actually wanted to, they wanted to approve what was in our presentation. So the materiality didn't change, the size didn't change, nothing changed except for a slight window configuration, and it's actually what we voted on.
Yeah.
So
That may have actually been a good one for me to include in this as well. So I
Probably- probably
apologize for that.
was,
Yeah.
It was a
That's
good,
okay.
good change.
Yeah,
To what we saw.
regardless of good or, I mean,
Yeah.
the process is what we're talking about. That
Yeah.
was the right way to do that, yeah. Okay, do you want to update on anything city council priorities since that's in here?
I included that just for your, your guys' information. But obviously there are a couple of these things that will be that will affect us directly. So we have repairing the chain ferry landing, and there's a couple of different things with regards to signage, which I believe will require your review. So I just included it as a sort of FYI.
Okay, thank you. If nothing else there, any communication?
I think we were going to discuss the idea of a special meeting. I don't know if communication
Thank
is
you.
the appropriate
We
place
can
for
do it
that.
there or commission comment. We can do it here. So wondering what the commissioner's availability and or appetite is for a special meeting with Convention and Visitors Bureau for a temporary, sorry, I had to, the rainbow wheel was turning in my head on my internal Apple computer for a temporary art installation in Cook Park right next door. They didn't get the application in time for this meeting, but it's something that is art that needs to be commissioned, and they need time to do that and an approval obviously ahead of doing that. So they'd ideally not want to wait until the April meeting. So we're basically going to need quorum to do a special meeting and decide on a special meeting if you guys want
You
to
have a
do
date
that.
in mind?
We don't, and we can talk about that. Lisa's still on the phone. I mean, we've done it before. Any of us, I think, are always willing to do it if we can. Depending on the date, I know I'm going to be very challenged geographically to do that, but we can see what works for everyone. Yes.
Just a quick question. Lisa or whoever can answer this question, is this different than what was approved for the winter installation? This is different from that.
It's the same.
Oh, it's the same. Okay.
So I think you guys have already talked about it at council.
We
right?
have.
Yeah.
Yes.
I believe it also needs the Parks and Public Works approval also, which I think is going to be some point at the end of this month.
So, I mean, would next week be an option
Yeah.
for folks? Same time next Tuesday, next Thursday?
Thursday?
One moment, what day?
Thursday. the
Thursday.
13th.
We don't have a zoning board of appeals meeting on that day. So I believe that would work. We'd have to
Day at
get,
6.
we'd have to get the memo. So, yeah,
Does that give you enough time for public notice for that,
yeah, the public notice is only 18 hours.
for a special meeting?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, 6 on Thursday.
Lisa, would that work for you if we can get a quorum?
Oh, yeah. That's the 13th.
I know that too.
Yes.
Okay.
Seems like nobody. We have a show of hands.
Yeah,
but
just
they
to
might
be
make
sure,
it.
can everyone, so it looks like we have total quorum for Thursday, the 13th.
CBA, but Sarah's gone. So
Let's plan on that and we'll get the notice out, Lisa.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Any public comments? No one else on? Commission comments, welcome, Leah.
Thank you.
We're so glad you're here, and this was not a great meeting for your very first.
I was like
was
expecting it
either
to
a
be much
really-
longer.
I know, it was either a really good one or not a great one, depending on how you look at it. It was a quick one, that's
We
for
can
sure.
play you the video of the playground meeting. That
Oh,
was-
Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
Back to that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I had the benefit of having a conversation with Leah, but I know this is many of your first time meeting.
I'm originally from Venice, Florida, so close to Sarasota.
Yeah.
I lived in Chicago for 20 years in Wicker Park, and I was on the Wicker Park Committee, which is the neighborhood organization, and we had a preservation and development committee as part of that. So I have been on that for the last 12 years. And Wicker Park has a landmark district of commercial and residential. And I lived in an 1883 workman's cottage, which I absolutely loved. We're in the process of selling it now, but we moved to Saugatuck at the beginning of the year, and we have an 1870s farmhouse, which has a lot of quirks, but I love historic buildings. I think that this town is so charming, and I like to see things stay that way, because I think that's the reason why people like to come to these towns, because I used to always say about Wicker Park, you know, if everything looked the same and it's all Urban Outfitters, no one wants to come to the neighborhood. They want to come for the architecture, and the boutiques and all the things that make it special. So I'm excited to learn from you guys. I obviously have a ton to learn and excited for this binder. But I have a passion for it. So this was the committee that I wanted to join. So
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for getting involved, and we appreciate everything you're going to bring to the group.
yeah, thank you.
Any other commission comments? No? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion on that? Y'all sure? It's only been 30 minutes. All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed. We are adjourned. All right, thanks, everyone.
Tim?